Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In today's video, we are going to learn credit note concept. We will see what is credit note and list of situations when we are going to issue credit note. What are the situations when we are issuing a credit note? I will share with you a real life scan copy of credit note, how you can prepare a credit note, and a real life example so you will understand this concept easily. Also at the end we will see the journal entries, that how you can record when you are issuing a credit note, how you are recording this credit note entry in your accounting books. So let's start with the beginning. We will know that what is credit note. This is a document issued by a seller to the buyer in case of an uncertain situation happens in business dealings between the buyer and the seller. The seller, in this situation, when he is issuing a credit note, he is going to compensate the loss occurred due to him to the buyer. Now let's see the situation. What are the situations happen when the seller is going to issue a credit note? If goods returned due to damage or not according to buyer's specifications, when we are selling goods to the buyer, so those goods are either damaged or those are not according to the specifications which was in our purchase order and asked by the buyer. So this is the first situation. We need to issue a credit note in return of these goods. When the invoice value correction, when we have issued any invoice which is overstated, then we are issuing a credit note to adjust that amount to the buyer. After that, correction of discounts if not applied. There was a discount mentioned in the purchase order, but the seller didn't mention in his invoice. So the seller has to issue a credit note to correct this discount amount. Warranty claims. There was a warranty claims which needs to be adjusted, so seller has to issue a credit note to the buyer for the warranty claims. Purchase cancellation by buyer. A purchase order issued by the buyer to the seller, and due to some reasons the purchase order cancelled, the seller has to issue a credit note to the buyer against this cancellation of purchase. Incentive given by the seller to buyer. Sometimes there are some targets set by the seller. If this buyer is going to purchase this much amount of products from us, then we are going to give an incentive to that buyer or the commission to that buyer. So they are issuing a credit note stating that this much money should be a discount or an incentive, so you have to credit to our account. So in this situation, the seller is going to credit to the buyer and the buyer is making debit to the seller. So the amount which will be liable to the seller will decrease in his ledger. So discount given by seller on early payment. Sometimes seller is asking to the buyer, please make early payment, so we will give you a 10% discount. The 10% discount will be issued by a credit note. Seller has to issue a credit note to the buyer to mention the discount amount. The next, let's see an example. ABC company purchases goods from XYZ company. So ABC company is a buyer and XYZ company is a seller for $50,000. So the buyer found that total 20,000 worth of goods damaged, and they notified to XYZ company at the time of delivery. Now in this case, XYZ company will issue a credit note against these damaged goods, which were worth of 20,000 goods were damaged, by stating the quantity and the value of damaged goods. So this credit note we submitted to the ABC company. Okay. After having this credit note, ABC company will only be liable to pay 30,000 to XYZ company. Now let me show you a credit note example. This is a credit note. here the company name or the seller name who is selling goods, their registration numbers and tax numbers, date of credit note, purchase order number, and here the credit note number, then the invoice number, the against the invoice issued, this credit will be against which invoice you issued before you are preparing this credit note for, so you need to mention that invoice number. For your accounting purpose, you need to write the JV or the voucher number you have recorded the transaction against this delivery of goods. You have to mention here the buyer name, his tax address, attention to whom, email address, whatever the details of the buyer you need to mention here. After that, the main thing here, the item number in invoice. The earlier you have submitted an invoice to buyer, you have to mention here the product item number on your invoice. So the product name will come here, complete product detail, quantity, how much quantity was damaged with the unit price and the amount. So the total amount, taxes, so the total credit due will be this much. So this amount will be credit to the buyer in our books, and the buyer will make this amount debit in his books. Now let me share with you the journal entries. When sold goods to ABC company, ABC company debtor account asset will be debit by 50,000. Sales or revenue profit and loss account will be credit by 50,000. This is when we are selling goods on credit. The next, when issued credit note of damaged goods to ABC company. When we issued a credit note, we get to know that this much 20,000 worth of goods was damaged. So here the goods returned back to us. So we have passed here sales return profit and loss account will be debit. This is the contra account of sales and revenue. So 20,000 will be debit and ABC company debtor account will be credit. So the ABC company debtor account will decrease by 20,000. So the remaining balance in his ledger account will be 30,000. 50,000 minus 20,000 will be 30,000. When received money from ABC company, okay, then we need to pass an entry when the buyer paid us the money and we are going to receive that money, then cash or bank, our asset will increase and our other asset, which is ABC company debtor account, will decrease. So the debtor account will be zero when we receive the payment and our cash and bank will increase with 30,000. So this is the concept of, guys, credit note. I hope, guys, you understand this concept. Please subscribe my channel so it keeps motivated me to create more videos for you. Thank you very much and goodbye.